Welcome, Speedgaming, to this phenomenal matchup between two well-known runners in the Super Metroid community. Here we are featuring Eddie on the left, Audraxys on the right, and we'll watch them play it out in a best of three. Today we have a Speedgaming Live Online 2024 Super Metroid Randomizer featuring Map Rando. And we are in the first round where Eddie and Audra happen to meet up. Eddie with the 6th seed, Audra with the, was that 26-ish seed? And they're going to give us a best of three today, so this should be a great race. Eddie coming from the vanilla speedrun initially, then very quickly learned the randomizer, and has since switched into arcade and now into Map Rando. So has been playing tons of Map Rando seeds. Audra mainly focused on the more classical Super Metroid randomizer. Did learn the what Dash Mystery Tournament is running right now. Learned how to play those seeds really well. But otherwise has been more general in their randomizer knowledge, as in going to other games instead of focusing on Super Metroid. So hasn't put as much focus directly on Map Rando, but has been playing Super Metroid for longer. And so we're going to see how their differences in experience is going to work out. And it looks like we have Mosaic on the right, Gravity Suit in Gravity Suit location. That's neat. Gonna kill the pole with this like 30-second Gravity Suit. So hope you got your bets in early. But now we have Bubble Mountain on the left. They both went left, and left was the correct choice, as far as we can tell so far. Bubble Mountain logic, it doesn't expect you to wall jump up the left side or the right side unless you can jump from the save room door. But it almost looks like the top left door is going to connect as well. And that would be another way across. Because normally you reach the top left door by damage boosting off the waiver, like Audra is trying to do here. But Eddie went and found West Ocean. And riding the Rippers, I think it's called a hard level trick. The difficulty settings we're playing on is hard, tricky, but the objectives is bosses. And the way to play these is to try to do the hard level tricks. The randomizer is going to put progression in the most difficult logical locations. So you can do things that are harder than hard level to sequence break, but if you do things that are specifically hard level, then that's where the progression is most likely to be. And that's a speed booster. So where was that? That was that top left of Bubble Mountain? Get that speed booster. Then we find a green door up there. We're playing with ammo doors on, so that means we're going to have pink, green, and orange doors. And that makes it very important to find the early ammo. Right now we have missiles. So we can open the pink doors, but not the other ones. Not green or orange. Speed booster usually means you go back to landing site, because speed booster plus an E-tank will open the gauntlet door. Speed booster will open the top right door. The Avir rooms, or the sand halls, they expect that you take some damage from the Avirs, but you could also shine spark through. So identifying like the health requirements for a hard seed, it can be challenging. But Gravity suit is going to be reducing your damage from all sources by half, except for heat. But you are expected to take some damage from Avirs when passing through, or otherwise shine spark through. We have seen Waterway, and that actually was closer to where they got Speed Booster. Waterway is not going to be a hard level trick, but it is certainly a use for Speed Booster. We have missiles over here. And this may be heading back towards Waterway right now. Or maybe forgetting about it. Gonna take the lower door through West Ocean to wrap around Bubble Mountain and reach the downwards door. Another thing to think about is that the supers and power bombs are gonna be filler items. So they're not necessarily in those difficult to reach locations. Okay. If Eddie was looking at the map, then Waterway was right there. With experience, you're going to better remember the shapes of rooms and know what is where. And Waterway isn't one that you pick up on right away. That's one that you need to think about over a couple of seed playthroughs. And that's going to be super missiles. We see a couple super doors now. We'll see where he wants to go with those. So something that we also learned yesterday is that Audraxys playing with a broken controller had some flooding happening at their place. So we're hoping there's no disasters like what happened in the mystery race last night. But no problem so far. We're not going to expect anything to go wrong. That's Spazer. The beams plus X-ray are also going to be filler items. There we have 3 musketeers. Not something you want to do, just 1 E-tank and no Varia suit. So one big difference from Dash and Mystery, Dash and Map Rando, is that you can run into Lore and Warfare rooms right away. I guess you can in Area Rando too. But it tends to be that you have fewer items in Map Rando when presented with the more difficult rooms, such as the sand hall here. Like normally in Dash you wouldn't take Gravity Suit directly into East Meridia. But here we have to go through East Sand Hall. And the enemies are still going to do 50 damage per hit. Here we have the purple farm room. This is the heated farm room on Audraxys' side. And we get Morph Ball finally. So to reach this Morph Ball you need to use a super missile to kill the Namahe. And then you just come down. And then that'll open up a lot more things. There's a lot of very basic items that you're looking for in the very early game in Map Rando Seed. So what happens a lot is you have to run back and forth across the ship a couple of times to pick up your 4 or 5 progression items. And then that's going to unlock more of the seed to play. And then things start to open up. So in this case, it's like you get Gravity and Speed Booster. That gets you supers, and then you take the supers to get Morph Ball. Then you also get Knee Tank and Spazer on the way. And now you can start doing more things. With Morph, you tend to go to the West Ocean, the middle item. And that's going to be a Hollow Dot. You can tell the type of item that it is by running across the super block. So when you look at it from above like that, you can tell the item type. If you check it from below, you can see the item, but you can't get it revealed on the map. It's pretty common for the... Okay, nice soft block, Eddie. It's very common for the middle item in West Ocean to be some kind of progression if you get supers in a somewhat hard to reach place. In this case, also morph. It's easy to forget that you don't have any way of getting through the morph tunnel right now. And that'd be with either spring ball or power bombs. Or morph bombs. So now that he has power bombs, he can get through the tunnel here. And that may... Well, it's going to lead right to the map, it looks like. Ah. So we have the layout where Phantoon is on the left of the map. Phantoon is... It's always going to be a right door. And it's always going to be connected to the same room that the unpowered map is connected to. And this is kind of the only location where Phantoon can be left of the map. But it's kind of the default line of thought that if you see a left map in West Ocean, then you play like Phantoon is here. Audra does not have Morph Ball yet, so it needs to go to Fireflies, Lower Norfolk Fireflies. That is what the seed wants, or expects. You use Gravity plus Speed to pick up supers. Then you bring the supers over here to Fireflies for Morph Ball. And then Morph Ball is used to get Power Bombs. That's where Eddie's at. We're watching him take out the first boss. So 1050 first boss, pretty good. We're expecting a relatively fast seed today because Gravity was instant. So it should be a 50-ish minute time. Kind of the two main factors are going to be the suit locations and the map locations. And this criteria map is pretty friendly. So it's a good start for getting a fast finish time. And then also both of the runners can be very, very good at the game. So they can take these fast seeds and play it out to finish quickly. These three majors look possible, look reachable. Same with the holodot on the left, because that's a farm room. That's the Bat Cave over there. The items we're looking for with the map station are going to be the big filled-in circles, the majors. So those are going to be everything's on the tracker plus grapple X-ray. And going to show us the wave gate glitch. So this is not logic in hard, unless you have high jump. Morph would also, Wave would also do it, but you know, that's not much of a trick. Very, okay. So probably less than 50 minutes, which is going to be great for our schedule. Yep, it's an Eddie seed, they call it. So that is Gravity Varia. It is the settings used for Tricky. Wow, charge. To try to place the suits really late. But there is some RNG in the order that they're actually placed. But they can be overridden if the map requires them to do like a long hell run or a big water rim. And then it may just be that there's no realistic way to progress without a suit. And yeah, this was also right supers here. And you can't get this item without killing Fantoon. So it's also coincidentally really lucky that you could kill Fantoon and get this item. So we are into a very fast seed. And that means time mistakes are more costly than normal. There's just less time to catch back up. And that's really bad for Audra. So, does this path lead to the map? It leads back up. I saw that their map was colored in earlier. It must not have been here yet. Perhaps. But they are circling around Fantoon. Yeah, so on Eddie's side, both suits speed, charge. A grapple sometimes matters. There's also a major top right that he's not going for. You don't really need any more majors right now. But it kind of looks like you need to go through 3 Musketeers here. And that would pretty much require that the seed gives you various suit. And then you also need some way to deal with the key hunters. On 94 health, this is actually not safe. In any % runs, you have high jump speed and a normalized entry. But without high jump and without that entry, because we're checking the item, you don't really have a safe way to avoid the key hunters. And so he's going to kill them instead, and maybe take damage from the third one to get past, because killing them is pretty slow. And as I said, in these really fast seeds, you want to save as much time as you can. And just be really fast with your decisions. There you go. Spike hit would have killed him. And then we have grapple to get through Fireflies. With both suits, spikes are just going to be doing 15. But his health was that low. He's on the spikes again. Be careful, Eddie. I think he's being a little too careful waiting for the waiver. Could taking a couple of those spike hits still. That boss is Kraid, and Main Street looked to have another item. Another major. Okay. I think it's fair to take a health refill right here. There's a lot of hollow dots. Those are all going to be optional. You do want to get to Kraid right now, because you're not really coming back to Criteria. And then as well as some hollow dots are still good. Yeah, so Main Street Major is very quick to get. That's worth picking up. The path to Kraid is a little complicated. I don't really see it. But Audra is going to find the other 2 majors that are nearby. Probably run for those. Okay, so let's see what Main Street has. Can give us the short charge. High jump boots. That's very nice. So with high jump, that's really all the mobility you need. That is to go fast. There's also a couple of strats that depend on having high jump speed that you can take from vanilla speedruns. Sandpit's gonna have some more hollow dots, but I would imagine this is relating to the path to Kraid. But the majors they're looking for still are going to be beams, or Ridley and Mother Brain damage. So Audra back in Bubble Mountain, having trouble with this wall jump. Right side wall jumps are... it's actually really hard. It's either a 1-frame or a 2-frame jump. But I do it based on a bit of feel. I do a full height jump and then delay like some amount of frames to get the jump. It used to be that I do something similar to this with a lot of small wall jumps. But the delayed wall jump part's pretty tough. And then you can also skip past the second tricky wall jump. But you have to be confident in your first jump to do that. So we are going to the top right item of criteria. And is there anything that can be big enough to gain time over Eddie skipping this? The best item is going to be... I suppose ice is possible if it enables an ice clip. But otherwise plasma would be the best item. Unfortunately, no quick kill here. 97. We have our second boss down after 20 minutes. Making mistakes in the super fast seed. Not what you want to see. You also do need more missiles, just for Mother Brain 1. It is Ice Beam. So maybe an Ice Clip will come up somewhere. That's important. We have Charge plus Beam. So we can take care of Mother Brain 2. But we need physical missiles for Mother Brain 1. And 15.5. That sounds like enough. I think 15.5 is barely enough. But you want to have more than that. Supers are going to be doing double damage. And Mother Brain 1 has a projectile count component and a damage component. So it's 18 projectiles for the glass and 3,000 damage for the brain. And that's all we're targeting. But it's pretty easy to run into missiles, especially since we are only into the first area. I think there's 6 areas. And so there's a lot of exploring left to do. You haven't really seen the exploration yet. But now we are into Wreck Ship, it looks like. And an early save is really nice. Because now you can fearlessly go after the map. And it doesn't matter if you pick right or wrong. You get the map and then you can reset back here. So Spazer. I guess we can try and judge Audra's Kraid kill time for comparison. Missing out on the 2 majors. That was Varia suit, right? Varia and Grapple. Maybe we should reset to go back and get them. Because it takes some powerful routing to overcome a missed Varia. That's a screw attack. I'm just gonna skip that. I guess A doesn't need it. It's already been through 3 Musketeers. Actually the only room in the game where you'd want Screw Attack. Screw Attack's a really good item, so I'm not sure why he's putting it off. But does want to go for this map right away. And here it is. And what's it tell us? So major. Okay. So screw attack isn't really worth keeping. It's a good item, but it has to make back the time of running back to your save point. And this spring ball. Yeah, spring ball doesn't help very much. Okay, so that was Rick's ship. And he actually had a even farther back save. In map rando, if you press the quick reset button combo, it's going to take you back to your previous save. If you do it again while on top of the save station, it'll take you to a different file slot. So we've gone back a file slot. And it looks like he's going to go to Toria next. Save time, but not turning around for screw attack. Okay, so here's Audra into Three Musketeers. Charge Ice Spazer. I don't really know the exact requirements that the seed is expecting for Three Musketeers. I think it says 3 damage hits. And you could survive that with 2 suits and an E-tank. And then I'm not sure what it says about acid damage either. Ridley, Big Pink with a major. I don't see any region connectors. Oh, we're getting the ice strat for Arclays. Ice tactics. Kind of one odd thing about the tile... Was it tile theming? Is that these Firefly rooms, they can go really dark faster than you'd expect. Makes it through. That was really well done for just ice. I know, like, good way through Fireflies. Kind of something that you need to practice. How to actually do that room with just ice. We have Batoon right below Ridley, so you're not going that way. Blue Hopper's in the room below. Okay, let's go. Charge Spazer in a dream. There's Audra's high jump. Spazer SBA going to do 300 damage per particle. And it's going to be 2 particles. Gonna switch to charge shots here. It's easy to just hit the tail with the SBA attack. Charge Spazer is 120. So if you can hit the SBA, it's good. But using power bombs would be more reliable damage. But Eddie's an expert in the charge beam fight. Shouldn't be taking too many hits. And then plus has both suits, so damage isn't going to be too high. He's going to save the supers for the red phase. I think he turned red. No. Yeah, saving supers for the red phase. That's going to be a third of the fight in supers damage. Then he has to make up the remaining damage. While Ridley gets a little bit angrier. Still going for these SBAs. So various beam SBAs, at least I tried to learn some of them, thanks to Dash, giving you starter beam. And so, like the Ridley fight would be a great situation where you'd go out of your way to learn how to use these SBAs, where normally you wouldn't think of it, because at least in old Dash, or current Dash, sometimes you have starter beam, and that's going to be even reduced, or even less damage with charge spacing. So it's worth your time to go for these trickier shots. It gets through it. Didn't really take much damage at all. So that was really well done. And then otherwise, there's not much here. So we are off to the next stop. Which is Brinstar. Space jump. I missed that we got space jump. I noticed it on the map, but not when I picked it up. So Audra got ice beam from the top right of Criteria that Eddie skipped. Also has another super pack, so this Ridley fight's gonna go a little faster, but hasn't been over to Kraid yet. And Rex Ship has Screw Attack and Spring Ball, and we're not going to be getting those. At least not on Eddie's side. We are in the first game of a best of 3. Eddie's the 6th seed, and I'm calling Audra the 26th seed, because there's 32 players, and it's going to be the mirror of 6. See what the green pirate shaft has. Oftentimes you see good items here. Wave beam. So wave is really good damage. That's one of the reasons I like wave a lot. It's a nice backup worst room in the game. But didn't go for the fast jump. And we can watch Audra's Ridley fight now. Has 2 beams, so it's a lot less worthwhile to go for SBAs. The ice shield is really weak, so you don't ever really want to use that. But Spazer is decent. And then this beam does 180 damage. So it's going to be 50 beam shots and then 15 supers is the fight. Okay. Which path do you take, Eddie? Middle door, top door, or bottom door. And they all lead right. And we get worker robots. That's a slow room. Famously hated in 100%. Okay, here we have the Torian Idor room. Be a bit quicker to go through. The menu room. Surprisingly difficult without items, because the menus do so much damage. And now we're to Lord Warfare room, high jump E-Tank room. You never know what you're gonna get, because this is map rando. It's a very fast fight on Audra's side. Gets the Ridley kill. And meanwhile, Eddie finds the map. So this is going to be the 4th map. So there's Norfair up top. We saw wave beams to the left. So it depends how much he values the wave beam. Probably not that much. Mostly because Ridley's already down. So you can like more easily do the math on how much damage you need from Mother Brain and how much time that takes. And you're like directly comparing how much time it takes to cross over to get the wave and back. And that's gonna be slower than just continuing forward. So I don't see that we've been to Crade yet. I was trying to use that as a gauge for the gap between the runners, but that just didn't happen. The map is here, right after Pillar Room. Yeah, with the Torian knowledge and the wreck ship knowledge, it becomes very important to kill Crade right now. Otherwise, it's going to add a lot of backtracking time. And that's something that you're familiar with if you played Area Randomizer. You want to minimize your backtracking time. Etiquettes. Etiquette E-Tank. Very nice. Yeah, right now it's looking like Eddie just has too much of a lead. Has this Norfair map. Oh, the Brain. Meridia. Okay. So you just have to go to Meridia and then Raycon will be there. So the path is kind of linear from here out. And the difference was just all made in the early game, as far as I can tell. Everything surrounding the morph find, like the morph location, getting to Phantoon, in particular getting Phantoon before visiting the map room. And I want to say that those are all just things that you learn through experience, but I can't say for sure. Eddie's played far more map randomizers than Audra has. So it's the tricky situations that he's going to have the advantage in. As well as the similar situations that you've played through in a previous seed. Such as early West Ocean. Okay. Eddie killed Crade at 20 minutes. 16 minutes apart. Except Audra also did Wreck Ship and Torian and Crade and Ridley. From here, yeah, the map overall is just linear. It's kind of standard routing that you would kill Crade early on before leaving Criteria. Then other than that, you need to find Ridley, and it turns out it's really important that you kill Ridley with this lower equipment set. Because to get back, you have to go through like 3 regions. Then that looks like Dragon's just up above. And then there's a major right here. There's probably a beam. Good beam? Ah, the best beam. X-ray. X-ray bombs. We got a double. They're not beams. But overall, the siege has been very linear, very fast. And that's going to benefit the person who doesn't have to think about situations. Here's the Dragon fight. I'd go for a grapple kill. Some people are good at the speed kill and do that instead. But this is just the first game. We're going to be following up with game 2 right after. And we'll see if we need a game 3 or not. From qualifiers, we've seen that Audra had some not great times and then some really good times. By not having played as many map rando seeds, going to be just more variance in how these end up, I'd expect. This one just didn't go her way. And then actually Audra picking the top door. But wait, this is the pillar room. I thought pillar room was good. Guess I don't remember the map too well. We have Metroid 3. Metroid 3 is an interesting one. Or I guess all the Metroid frames are interesting. Because on the one hand, they're decent farms if you have ice, but some of them are really annoying. Which is letting me know that my 80 view streak is expiring. That's the problem with these tournament matches. Sometimes you can't watch them all. So Eddie's heading towards Mother Brain. She's gonna be right here. Lots of heat rooms, not a problem. Oh, that's right. Pillars was good for the Norfair map, but not the Brimstone map. So we have to think about Zeb skip right now. This is possible to do a speed Zeb skip, and it's probably also Croc Shaft. Yeah. So I think there's time to just run over, do it. But then also Croc Shaft has probably enough runway with the extended platform that map rando gives you to maybe do a normal speed skip. But pretty important to be able to do it, because otherwise you need to just shoot down all the Zebs. So if you like what you see, you can give the runners a follow. Eddie, I guess Eddie and Audra, both not crazy active right now. but they do stream mostly Super Metroid, and for the time being, it's mostly going to be race-style matches, whether it is mystery races or map rando. And then also, if you like seeing these restreams, we could use more help with the crew. Right now, I am Aussie101 doing the commentary. With me is Kaizentum. We're covering this best of 3, but there are more today even, which could use help or volunteers. Later on we have Andy versus Linux, as well as Baron Red against Stev, a little bit later on. Andy Linux is right after this best of 3 series, but needs help to stay on the schedule. And if you want to volunteer, you would join the Speedgaming Live Discord. Look for the Map Rando channel, and then the crew sign up is at the top of the topic, or in the topic at the top. It looks like this race coming to an end. Wasn't worried at all for Eddie getting through the mother brain tight. Done it 1,000 times. And now we're into the escape. The escape's kind of cool. How much time do we have? 2:20? This escape has to go through... I guess Wreck Ship is really short, and Brinstar was probably short too. So we have to go through like 4 regions, but most of them aren't too long. Terry is the biggest one. Went the wrong way, unfortunate. So the escape timer, it's made for a hard level player, and these two are going to be a little bit stronger than that. So we're not worried about the escape timer unless you make a routing mistake. That's when it's possible to just not make the timer at all. So that's when you pick the wrong direction, or maybe you go down the wrong path and have to backtrack. So that is something that can happen. It does happen in races. But a lot of the time, you also know the map well enough since you have been playing it for the past 45 minutes. Audra back in Wreck Ship, actually. Did not take the ideal route either. The way Eddie played the C was pretty strong overall. Even Wreck Ship before Torian could have worked out really well. Like if there was a way to speed up the Ridley fight in there. But there just wasn't. So I'd say I really liked Eddie's route. Compared to criticizing the decision. Eddie, the number 6 seed, but also one of the favorites to win the tournament. He's going to be one of the stronger runners in terms of experience and also in terms of vanilla speedrun execution. So we're going to keep an eye on Eddie, his run through the tournament. But he's not out of the first round yet. Has to win one more to advance to winners round 2. So here's Bubble Mountain, and now we're into landing site. The steam is still here, and he's on the ship. So GG to Eddie, taking that win. To keep things moving, we're going to have Audra forfeit the race and they are starting. They started really quickly, so it's going to be about 8 minutes from now. And then hopefully we can get to watch another good race. But yeah, this has been game 1. We're going to be starting up game 2 in a couple of minutes. So I guess now's a good time to take a break. But otherwise, want to stay tuned on this channel for the continuation of this best of 3 series. See you in a bit. Welcome back, Speedgaming, to Game 2 of this Best 3 series between Eddie and Audraxys. You are watching the Speedgaming Live Online 2024 Super Metroid Randomizer tournament featuring Map Rando. We are in the first round of brackets. We had some qualifiers last week, and from that we found Eddie with the 6th seed, Audraxys with the 26th. We paired them together, and we're here for some exciting Map Rando races. I am your commentator, Aussie101, and then with me on tracking is Kaizentum. Kaizentum going to be covering all 3 of these matches if we do go to Game 3, so shout-outs to them. But this is Game 2. It's going to be starting in, I guess, about a minute. It's kind of more stream delay than I thought on this restream broadcast. But you can see that Eddie not at the game screen, so hopefully he makes it back in time. But this is The second game of the series, Eddie is the favored runner, is the more experienced map rando player, and did take the first win fairly convincingly. The big difference in the last race, one is it was a fast seed, and that means there's going to be less impactful choices, and also having an early suit means there's less room for mistakes that the opponent can capitalize on. And then the other big factor 2, is Audra had a bit of a hard time with the early game, and that just ended up at least looking like a lot of time lost in the very early stages of the race, and didn't really recover. Notably, it's going to be that Bubble Mountain right side wall jump, so probably going to want to practice that after the race. It's a very common wall jump that you want to learn across other Super Metro randomizers. But we are into the start of the next race, and we have the map station, the powered up map station. The spooky station is what we have. So you need to think about how to play this. Because it's the powered off map station, Fantoon is going to be right here. And that means you want a way to kill Fantoon. So normally we're looking for missiles. One pack of missiles, it's going to get you that map station right away, but then you have to actually do the fight. And even at this skill level, that's a hard fight to do. So we're going to wait and see when they feel comfortable going back for that. Here we have Plasma Spark Room. I think Logic expects to take some shoot hits. Here we have Grapple Tutorial 2. You're not expected to go through there. At least on the way back, I think you're supposed to take some shoot hits. And we have Ship Peebs as the middle door. So a bit of a slow room, but you can't just shoot the Alcunes out of the way. And we get a major. Grapple Beam. Interesting choice, game. What are we meant to do with Grapple Beam? So I was wondering if we could deduce the Fantoon location. It had to be in a right side door, but I don't think so, because they had to run through an extra hallway on the way to Business Center. Okay, so you used grapple right here, found some grapple blocks. Super missiles. Okay, so Fantoon, technically killable. I don't expect anyone goes for it. Then also, you can use the grapple beam to instantly kill these chutes, the pancakes. And actually, both these runners are very experienced in arcade. And in Super Metroid Arcade, it's pretty common to get grapple early. And so you learn to kill enemies using grapple. Audra focuses more on the... I think it's specifically the easier difficulty speedruns. So the 50 room category. And then Eddie focuses on the harder difficulties. With endless room count. But they both play a lot of arcade. And currently, Audra in the lead is one landing site ahead. So this isn't much of a surprise, seeing Everest. With Grapple Beam, you can be expected to reach all of the top 3 doors. And then the bottom 2 doors will depend. The bottom left door is not in Logic, but the bottom right door could be. Run to Batu. 5 supers, not enough. don't see the tracker being updated. There's a morph ball. Yeah, I guess we just haven't found any items. 4 minutes in, no tracker. Okay, we got a morph ball. And morph bombs. That is backside of Batoon. Unfortunately not progression. So what do we do with morph and morph bombs? That is not going to be way up through the Edicum power bomb blocks. It does not logically let you through the crab tunnel, because there's no logical way back up. In the past, in hard logic, you had to do a wall jump from the bottom left door, assuming the door below it was a dry room. So you could get a gravity jump all the way up to the middle peaks in Everest. But that is not in logic currently. So right now we're looking at landing site, where you can IBJ to the top right door. And as well as all these other rooms that maybe I'm not remembering. For progression, you want to follow the most difficult tricks for item placement, because that's where progression is going to be. But also, we don't know enough about the map to tell what's hard and what's not. So you focus on what is possible. And the most recent item is morph and bombs. So that means you want to do a trick that uses those. What is wave good for? As I said, could be bottom right of Everest. It can't be the crab super tunnel, because then you have to drop down. But Audra's gonna check the right door. Wave makes the most sense as a way to go through a blue gate from the wrong side. Unfortunately, that save isn't powered on. But also, they just came from the ship. Let's see what is down bottom right. And this is wreck ship main shaft. So you can get the spooky missile item. You see we're in the Norfair tile set now, because we're in the Norfair region. And Audra has tile theming on. Proc escape. Might want to come back to that later. That should lead it to below the bottom left door of Everest, so you can likely get up from there. It'd just technically be a sequence break. Oh, we have another early suit. Eddie having a bit of struggle. Is this Audra's seed? Really gaining a lead here. And this is a 8-minute first suit compared to the 20-second suit, last suit. Once again, great for the schedule. We are into the baby skip room. With these items, it's not realistic to expect a baby skip. It would actually be considered an insane level trick. They do baby skip with no items. And that is rude. So unfortunately, they're tied. Audra and I have the information. I would expect Eddie to go directly to a bottom right door. So that's like the only situation where baby skipping logical matters is when the next room is a heat room. Because it's going to set you to 1 health. And you just die instantly when you enter the door. And that makes it a risk to follow through on that. You'd have other options. We'll see what Eddie does. This looks like the same path. Metroid rooms. Avoiding Metroid damage is a very hard level trick. So it would not expect you to go through a Metroid room right now. Energy tank. With an energy tank, maybe it's possible. And that would be by taking Metroid damage. Okay, so here it is. Turned around. I guess the thing is turning around is pretty slow. You have to go back about 3 longish rooms. We get Indiana Jones on Audra's side. And IBJ up to the item. Gonna be slow. IBJs are slow. But it is an item. And especially if it's a missile pack, it's an ice beam. Would you rather have ice or a missile pack right now? Because we still don't want to fight Phantom. And gonna give us the reverse Indiana Jones attempt to... Oh, it's halfway. Yeah, for a competitive race, it's very useful to learn double IBJ and power bombs, as well as a reserve tank. Reserve tanks can be a logical way past the baby Metroid. Okay, so I don't know if Eddie has a way out. Ah, we're at the top of the crumble blocks. So he's gonna get his power bombs this way. So that's really nice. Having all of your basic ammos, plus gravity suit, means that you are free to explore a lot. More supers. Yeah, crab supers, linga supers. Checks out. Eddie also has missiles, though. Audra does not. Could decide to do the super Phantoon fight. With the suit, you can probably survive this. And I'm sure she's practiced how to handle the enrage phase. But this is the place. This is Shack Tool. Picking Shack Tool's door instead of East Cat Alley. So Shack Tool room from the right, you want to anger the snail, then have it clear the sand for you. If you don't anger the snail, you're going to be watching it tunnel really slowly. And that is the Acid Chozo room. So you don't need to go through East Cat Alley either. The Acid Chozo room, it fits really weirdly. I think it's gonna connect here. Yeah, that's the top. So first boss down for Eddie. And then Eddie also gets the map information now. And so this exploration that Audra's doing right now is not being helpful. It's just time loss as far as the race is concerned. Okay, so criteria map. We have Ice Beam down there, and then Spring Ballroom with another major. Seems like they're both going to be getting this major in Spring Ballroom. And then, actually, criteria seems pretty small today. But that's going to be the only, like, real... Well, the other time loss from not killing Fantoon right now is you have to come back later to get the boss kill. Eddie's doing this one return trip while picking up the majors that are here. Audra is going to have to come back again. So Spazer. You keep that. Never mind. Ice Wave is good enough. So Fantoon. You can bomb yourself out the open door. It's happened before. Boss doors do not close until you damage the boss in Map Rando. And yeah, this is going to be a supers only fight. So we're going to lose more than a minute. Probably closer to 2 minutes compared to the fast Fantoon fight Eddie had. This will be 5 super missiles. So 5 enrages plus 5 patterns. And that was the first one. Gonna get the map, and the map's not gonna reveal anything. But we'll have the Fantoon kill. And compared to leaving, finding missiles, and coming back, this is fine to do. It's probably better to do it now. So Eddie can come down, get Ice Beam, see how long this takes. Has the option of playing up the left side and then grappling across. But that would take a IPJ as well. If he had ice, he'd probably try to show off his setup for the ice clip, where you freeze a Mela and jump up through the crumble block. But ice is up here. There's a reserve and power bombs to the left, and that's going to be worth picking up. And also giving us the reverse attempt. And makes it all the way over. Oh, no, he dropped it early. Fumbled at the finish line. Tripped on his own feet. And that's the Fantoon kill. So they're essentially tied right now. Eddie has the Spazer. Audra's gonna pick up the map and then run back through Everest. And then they'll meet up again. Oddly small criteria. So Eddie, essentially 2 rooms and a Spazer beam ahead. As far as Norfair goes, also has a bit of exploration advantage. Double bomb jumps are really hard. I don't know when everyone got good at them, but it used to be almost no one went for them. We are in West Ocean, and it has a map. We are also already aware that this is not the Fantoon map, because Fantoon is dead. So just gonna pick up the quick map. And we're actually getting some diversions. It looks like that right side Super's room again. I have a hard time telling it apart, but it looks something like that. What else is here? There's hollow dots. The importance of hollow dots is mostly for E-tanks right now, because you could have to come up to Brinstar and then do a long heat run if there's multiple E-tanks down here. So the hollow dots are going to be E-tanks, reserve tanks, supers, and power bombs. The big filled-in dots are going to be majors, and those are everything on the tracker plus grapple X-ray. The majors are what we're looking for. The most important items are going to be ammo that opens doors. So 1 super pack, 1 power bomb pack. Suits are super important. You want the morph ball. And then after that, you want a lot of E-tanks or Varia. You're kind of looking for a way to do water rooms and a way to do heated rooms. And we have water rooms covered. We're looking for a way to do heated rooms. Plus, more mobility might be important too. But that kind of comes after being able to do heated rooms at all. So we're going to get this Keys Terrace checked, it looks like. Pick up more hollow dots first. But Eddie's going on a trip. Gonna tell us what this major is. And it looks like he also wants enough health to get out with the item. And there is Audra's first missile pack, 21 minutes. You're not going to use all of your energy reaching the door. And yeah, right side supers again. On the way back up, it's about 200 health. So it's pretty dangerous to go with this. And plasma is the item. So if Audra stays on this path, they don't run into any other beams, then charge. Okay, he got the manip on the key hunters. The thing about pause abuse like this is it makes your movement harder to do. Because you're also like pressing the pause button. But make it out. Does have the crystal flash. And that'd be the safer way to do it, but decided not to. I don't know that it was good to not crystal flash. But does have to play careful now, because health is going to be low for a while. That's a nice block of bosses there. So Dragon above Ridley, and then also Kraid. And we're just looking for Mother Brain. And then I haven't seen the region connectors. I think they're in Brinstar. Yeah, so Eddie's just gonna crystal flash anyway. Yeah, it could be that Audra never needs to go to Norfair. At this point, it's better to not go there. There is another major here. Also, Torian is here. So it depends a lot on where Mother Brain is. But we're gonna get this other major on Eddie's side. Problem with Audra's route currently is it's hard to kill Ridley. As he can't. So it's not really helpful to be here. It looks like both regions connect to Torian. So yeah. Can't kill Ridley, so just gonna leave for now. So now it's about Eddie's choice. But from what I'm seeing in the map, Torian leads to the end of the game, the end of the seed. And Mother Brain's gonna be over there. And running into Mother Brain is the worst thing that can happen, without the other bosses being dead. So that's what he needs to avoid. But then while you're doing that, you're also gonna pick up better items, like Varia and Charge, most likely. So the run back shouldn't be too bad. Right now, I think we're going to see Audra do the same general checks that Eddie did. But we'll see how many holodots Audra gets, actually. That's kind of an important question. This is just missing the map. So that's a mistake. I don't know if they checked the map before running around Norfair. Or maybe just didn't check it recently. But he's into Meridia now. So getting really far away from the Ridley. It's mostly Ridley, but all the bosses are there. That is going to mean that he's going to run into nothing for quite a few regions. So there's Mother Brain. Wreck ship, 2 majors. But the interesting thing is if Audra, since they know that all the bosses are right there, and you want to get to Ridley as soon as you can, then they might stay and collect a lot of holodots and go for more of an ammo finish. It kind of depends on the distribution, because she needs more E-tanks and more supers right now. There's a lot of holodots here, but it's gonna take a long time to get them all. So that was high jump on Eddie's side. And then more majors that are really out of the way. So the map layout, the major placement, it's set up where Charge and Varia are going to be at the end of the seed, nowhere near where you started. But all the bosses are at the start. In every seed, it's a choice of when you decide to go for ammo and when to go for charge. It's a little harder to make the call early on. We've only been in 1 or 2 regions, because we don't really have enough E-tanks to try and skip Varia right now. We have enough supers to try and skip charge, but not right now. You'd want to be collecting more items before having to really commit to that. think the general plan is to go for majors. So try and pick up Charge and Barrier. Okay, so we'll see what Eddie finds here. Spring Ball. So it doesn't need Spring Ball. Gravity High Jump is really strong. And I don't know if he feels like his route's not working out because he hasn't seen the bosses. But maybe once he does find Burnstar, or does go for Burnstar, I start feeling bad about this route. But right now it's been Norfair with nothing really, and also Meridia with nothing. Well, Meridia with the Mother Brain, but that's not something you can do right now. It's a little bit nice to have Mother Brain not at the very end of the seed. Like, if it's kind of in the middle, then you can get back to it fast enough. But we are into Wreck Ship next. Okay, I think he's gonna go to the save right now. And then Wreck Ship. But if he ends up resetting everything in Wreck Ship, then he's not going to have great equipment for the boss kills. Kind of one of the dangers of saves coming too much. Okay, so Audra giving us the play down key under stairs. And this will be Plasma, I think. So right side supers. Yeah, Plasma. Does not have a Crystal Flash. And I'm not sure how familiar they are with the Key Hunter Minute. It's a lot less useful in vanilla map. But it's really good to know in map rando. Like, there's a whole set of tricks that you would want to learn just for map rando. Just because the rooms are going to be organized differently. So, Wreck Ship map. No bosses. Early supers with a major, and climb supers with a major. And do we know how many are left? If Eddie just leaves and goes to Brinstar, that'd be interesting. Because wouldn't have a way to kill the bosses once he finds them. But going back down, can be right next to Climb Super's Major. Okay, so Audra got the X-ray, is gonna walk out to get the quick shortcut. A screw text, not what you want to see still. And then I'm still wondering if they stay and look for the holodots and try and get the ammo for Ridley. Because from here on, when you're exploring, it's going to be away from the bosses that you need to go back and kill. So you know that it's going to be time loss in your routing. But I think staying and picking up holodots, you're a little bit far away still. So I don't really like staying either. Yeah, we are 34 minutes in. 1 E-Tank, 2 reserves on the left. 1 E-Tank, 3 reserves on the right. Map Rando does give you a E-Tank in the first possible filler location on hard difficulty, or on hard tricky. On the settings that we're playing today, we're playing hard tricky with boss objective. So they're guaranteed to have an early E-tank. But there is no guarantee to get more than that. After that, it becomes random. And there's 14 E-tanks in the pool. He mislaid the... Oh, he would have died if he played the power bomb. So good on Andy to not use it. And you get some health back in early supers. Charge beam. Well, charge probably not the better major to find right now, because you're running into supers, and that's fulfilling the same role as charge. Gonna farm these powerhouse enemies like you do in RBO. You make back a good chunk of energy, but to do that you kind of have to have screw attack. Audra with speed booster. That's a really handy item. And what's this other item in Torian? Various suit. Ooh. Things are looking good for Audra. So we don't have Mother Brain ammo, but we do have Ridley ammo. There's another major right here. Being flickered a bit. Spooky. So Audra's in a good spot. Yep. From here, you can just look for a few more majors, a few more holodots. Majors aren't helpful anymore. If there's one that's on path, you would want it for charge. But the plan should be right now to get supers. And then you go back to Britstar, get your boss kills. And then we have Eddie jumping up to Torian. And he'll be getting his various suit pretty soon. And once he has Varia, he'll be in go mode right there. Has just enough health. You only need one E-tank, but then you can't really be making mistakes in Mother Brain. Fell into the spikes. There's spikes under that sand. But it has lots of reserve energy. We got a lovely Torian-themed climb room. Torian-themed Lord Warfare Firefly room. They call it Mecha in Torian. So this is not so good for Eddie to go to Brinstar. If he's gonna pass up Various Suit, then he's gonna be for a difficult Ridley fight. So now it's about running into a few more E-tanks and then also pulling off the difficult fight. Audra still needs a little bit more ammo. Mother Brain 1 is going to take about 36 missiles, and then Mother Brain 2 is going to be another 30 missiles and 25 supers. There are some nice items right here. I don't know that she's seen Mother Brain yet. So it should be plenty of items. Plenty of chances for items. Like, does have enough to do Ridley right now. And also get all the items that are around Ridley, all the items on the way to Mother Brain. Okay, so Eddie reaction. Can you pull it off, Eddie? Speed booster. I missed that speed booster was up here. But it has speed booster now. Audra in the Ridley fight. It's gonna be 30 missiles, 25 supers. So, gonna get all their boss kills. And Eddie not feeling so good. For full beam and 25 supers, you kind of want 3 and 2. More reserves aren't really that helpful. You want more E-tanks. Having to manage reserves is just going to complicate the fight. Complicate your inputs. But he is pretty close to being able to just do the fight after another hollows. Like another E-tank. But that would be the no mistake fight. Okay, Audra into Dragon. And Eddie going for the second boss kill at the 42-minute mark. Great. Easy fight. Oh no. 1 E-tank, 4 reserves, 30 supers. This is some skill check. And then I don't think Audra's seen the Mother Brain location yet. But either way, it's going to be... She runs forward until run into it. And then Audra also needs a couple more missiles. But this is the kind of race that Nap Rando can give you. Eddie had a very strong showing the first race. game 2, it's flipped. And in this one, it all came down to divergent paths, really. Audra went up and got the boss information, but then also went to Torian first and found Various who. Whereas Eddie went everywhere except for where the bosses were, and except for where Varia was. So they didn't really overlap in the routes at all until they had to. Until it came time to actually kill the bosses. That's when they started covering the same map again. But this is looking good for Audra. Looks like he's gonna go for it. 20 tank, 4 reserves, 35 supers. If these were E-tanks instead of reserves, it wouldn't be a problem. But because it's reserves, you have to pause a few times. And that's going to make it difficult to transition to the next movement. Easy fight. I guess as we come to the end of game 2, yeah, shout out the runners once again. We have Eddie on the left. Took the first game in game 1. And then Audra looking good in game 2 here. We can follow them with the !R command with their Twitch streams. Then on crew, I'm Aussie101, and with me, Kazentum. I wasn't planning on sticking around for game 3, because I have to do admin stuff. But this race is looking like it can go either way. At the mercy of the seed and how the runners decide to route it. 70-25. Yeah, that's enough. Kind of just enough. But it's also going through Meridia. Meridia the right place? It does have barely enough ammo. Yeah, so top of Meridia, there's still a couple more checks. So ammo-wise, it's going to be... Oh yeah, 30 supers now. You're set. Eddie. Okay. Makes it through Lava Dive. On 25 supers, it was like 4 missiles extra. So getting another super pack's really nice. What's Eddie looking for right now? Yeah, that part. So without Varia, you're gonna take 600 damage from Rainbow Beam. And it doesn't help to have all of that in reserves. So he actually needs to find E-tanks. So even though he has, like, a maximum capacity of over 600 now, I think he still needs another E-tank. Okay, so we have 23 supers, 44 missiles. Supers do double damage. That's why we only need 30 supers. So it just needs to survive this fight. Having both suits and all the E-tanks that Eddie needs, Audra's not gonna have a problem here. Audra, well known for being an expert at Super Metroid Randomizer, as well as a bunch of like challenging ROM hacks too. So it's done very difficult on the rain fights. And so the fight's down. Looks set to take the race, and that'll bring us into Game 3. And again, this is against Eddie, who's expected to be the favored to win in this series. So it's on him to save his placement in the winner side of the bracket. And he's showing off the Zeb skip. So 1 minute left in the escape. This map was a little bit harder to follow, maybe? I think it had an up path and a down path. Like, I think you could go through either Prince Star or Norfair to get to Torian. Oh, I remember it. But this route should be fine. We're coming from Ready anyway. So Eddie probably going to be in the escape before Audra is done. That means it's also likely to just play this out. Yeah. So Everest and then you're at the ship. And that'll be it. We're going to a Game 3. It's going to be played right after this. That'll be in 10 minutes time from now. GG to Audra for getting a win on Eddie. And we'll see how it goes in the decider match. I'll be right here on Speedgaming. Kazentin was going to stay around, but I was going to drop out. Because this is SGLIVE first round of brackets weekend, and we have many Super Metroid races going on. We have the tournament structure is 32 racers in brackets, and we have to get matches done for all of them. They're all best of 3s, they're all double elimination, but we have to narrow it down to decide on an overall winner. You're watching best of 3 between Eddie and Audra. Right now, 1 game apiece. And then after this short break, I think we're going to watch Eddie run to the ship and then take a break. And once they come back, we'll be into Game 3. So stick around for that. And I'm out. Okay, thanks for watching.
Alright, welcome to this third game in the best of 3. Eddie won the first one, Audra won the second. This is the Speedgaming Map Rando tournament. Eddie being one of the higher seeds and Audra being one of the lower seeds. But this could go either way because they both have a very clean movement and they both know a lot of tricks. Just that Eddie's played a bit more Map Rando and is more tuned into the logic. Audra's going to turn that around and get better at the logic as the tournament goes on. I'm Kaizenton on comms and tracking, since Aussie had to step away to deal with admin duties after the first 2 races. So, Eddie likes to immediately check the map. Let's see where he shows us the map is. Map is all the way off to the left and has immediate connection to Meridia. That's going to be interesting. And we're at the post-croc farm room. Immediate space jump for both runners. That's actually going to be very useful. That'll open up the top right of landing site door. And that'll also give us easy access to the left side of the post-croc farm room. And we have our free filler E-tank, also a good find early on. It's always kind of funny when the door out of the ship takes you out of criteria. You say, when do I go back? That's a missile door. We need to find our first missiles for that. Downward doors are usually safe without the hazard tape, but there is the door to Aqueduct, which does not have hazard tape, but is kind of difficult to get back out of. Croc Speedway is not a good find. It's going to cost a lot of energy to go down, so if there's another heated room down here, Eddie will probably be forced to reset out. But he does get the knowledge of all 3 doors down here. And that knowledge is going to be valuable later. And that's the downward door into Aqueduct, which has no hazard tape, like I mentioned. He's essentially wasting his time trying to get this difficult jump back up. Because he doesn't have the energy to actually get through the heat to get back up. So, you see him take a reset back to the ship. He's going to recollect that space jump. Audra finds the first super pack. Looks like just a couple of rooms away from the ship using that space jump. Audra's a little bit ahead right now. But Eddie's going to catch up quick. Norfolk Reserve Room is kind of difficult, but the space jump makes it manageable. We do have missiles and supers here, but with the dip in the lava, you're not going to keep them. Since the upper right of the ship is the only place to go right now, Audra, of course, has to go straight back there. Probably going to turn around after that. So Audra fell in the sand there. The way to get out of that sand is you crouch and then jump with the down still held, and quickly ledge grab onto the edge. But you have to do all of that during the iframes. So it can be pretty difficult to do, and it can cost you a few attempts, and with the ship so close, it was faster to just reset. So now our runners are basically synced, only frames apart. We'll see Eddie probably go up for knowledge. Well, Audra knows that it's just a Norfair room up there and doesn't really need the missiles and supers at the moment. Get this right of ship room. That's post-croc jump room with the Indiana Jones morph ball. I hear morph ball at Indiana Jones is a favorite of SMZ3 players, and Audra is an SMZ3 player, so. And Eddie actually made it out with the missile and super from the Norfair Reserve. So that'll be a nice advantage. Audra found the basement of wrecked ship, which is not terribly useful. Is going to turn around, probably going after one of those super doors. Eddie finds the boulder room with the invisible bridge, but it's blocked by a powerbomb door. So good thing Audra didn't spend time going all the way up Red Tower for nothing. Safely saving with that morph ball. Make sure you can't lose it later on. Eddie about to pick up his own morph ball at Indiana Jones, while Audra crossing over to see what that to see what the left side of Croc gives us. It's just the wavegate room. Getting back is slightly out of hard logic, and you don't quite have enough time to get to the elevator now. You'll have about 20 or 30 energy at the top of the elevator now. And it's the Torian elevator, but you can't do anything with it anyway. If we get high jump boots, Eddie might go up the Torian elevator and get something there, but it might also just be a waste of time to try doing that. So we're still searching for power bombs. Best bet is some way of getting power bombs. So on Eddie's screen, we see Main Street has a door to Bat Cave, which leads to a major. Eddie is very practiced at the wall jump to get up there without high jump boots. Audra might not have encountered that wall jump before, so might not be able to go after that Main Street major. But Eddie's definitely going straight after it. And also Eddie finds the ice beam at Crab Supers. Audra repeating the early checks that Eddie made, finding all these useless rooms down at the bottom of Croc Speedway. And also going down to explore the bottom left door of Aqueduct, and hopefully not get bit by the snail. The snails deal 100 damage to you, so you don't want to take a hit. We found Dragon, also not helpful. You can check a sand pit. You can't get any items from a sand pit. So yeah, Eddie immediately does his wall jump. So he breaks spin with shoot so that he stops moving left and goes straight up. And he knows that this is Bat Cave, so he's going to do a quick farm there to get energy back, either before and after getting the major. Ice Beam makes the farm a little bit slower than it would be. And that's his gravity suit, so Eddie has a nice lead now. So part of the reason going to the sand pit was bad was because you already saw the butterfly room that had the shallow sand. So you know that going down the sand pit not only won't get you an item, but it'll lead to a room where you're immediately stuck. Because you know that has to be an Eva room down there. Audra would Audra should be able to get the same maps that Eddie did, but somehow missed it. The thing was the wall jump into Main Street to get up to that second door is a little bit complicated, and unless you've had the good or bad luck to have previously played a seed with it before, it's not going to be the first thing you think of, and you need some specific movement to actually get up there nicely. Eddie almost used the X-ray for its intended purpose, but then saw the dot on the map saying it was just a missile over there, so didn't show us the missile with X-ray. And Eddie also sees West Ocean and Mother Brain. So there's a major at West Ocean, but because it's next to Mother Brain, we probably won't come back to it for a long time. See, this is where Audra got the wall jump off the door, but didn't decide to go up. Definitely needs to go up and get that gravity suit in order to not continue falling further behind. You probably see that it's required when looking at this map. And also see the ice beam might actually help there, though probably not. So Audra's going to go up there, chase that ice beam at Crab Supers. As Crab is a bit dangerous, it'll do 120 damage if you touch it. So, little known fact, there's a little tiny slope there that you can't see in the vanilla tile set, but in this mosaic tile set that Audra's using, you can see the slope there that makes that 3 tile jump just a little bit harder. You can actually also see that there's a major in the top left of the Everest. I think that was X-ray, because Eddie has that X-ray, and I think he went there. Looks like Eddie's headed back for a rematch with Croc Speedway, while Audra's at Main Street is going to start experimenting with how to do this wall jump. So Eddie knows that having X-ray puts the snail clip in logic. Without X-ray, it's a pixel perfect trick. With X-ray, you can jump and unmorph on top of the snail, and then use the X-ray to stand up and click through. Exactly as X-ray. Oh, that snail was just a little bit too high. I didn't have space to unmorph. That's also too high. And Eddie gets the first pack of power bombs. So that X-ray might actually be logically required. That's a good use of space jump to get the gravity jump through the door and get up to the left side of Main Street. So now Audra is going to go into Batcave. 90 energy is a bit tight, but Audra should be able to get to the bugs. So now Audra is going to be collecting that gravity suit. Mostly in even footing. Eddie has that X-ray, and the X-ray looks to be hard required for those power bombs. We'll see if Audra goes chasing that major, finds the X-ray, or comes back later and finds power bomb some other way. At this point, you basically want to be chasing every major that you see, because you need Varia and you need Charge. And if you don't find those, you're not going to be happy. Looks like Audra is going to collect that X-ray. That'll be useful. As players get more... The lesser experienced players might think X-ray is less useful, but as players get more experience with Rando, they start liking X-ray more and more, because it gets them out of weird situations. It's not always a great item that you're happy to use, but it's gotten you out of some tight spots, so you're kind of okay with finding it. After using the X-ray to show us the missile there, it's almost as if the developers intended X-ray. Didn't see a beam getting found unless Eddie saw one at the maze missile. If you saw it at the maze missile, we'll get a second look at it in a few seconds. Eddie apparently going for the sky missile first. And it is a plasma beam for Eddie, so as soon as he finds Charge and Varia, Eddie's in go mode. This might be a seed where speed is not required, but it might not be a seed where speed is not required. It all depends on whether there's something hidden behind Dakara Room or Croc Speedway. So off of Red Tower, we found Yoink Room and Screw Attack. Alright. Useful. Audra still has to go search and find power bombs somewhere. The longer it takes to find power bombs, the more behind you are. We'll see if Audra does the snail clip to get those power bombs. Definitely familiar with the normal snail clip. Probably also familiar with the X-ray stand-up version. And yep, electing to do the snail clip over here so that the snail has less distance to travel. Or not. It's a bit harder to do it in that position. The snail is just a pixel too low. And that's... and went past the position. Oh, there we go. So now Audra also will have those power bombs and can get back to clearing obstacles and finding the next major. Let's hope for another spring ball in Vanilla Spring Ball Room. It's the charge beam. Eddie doing some fancy clip tech to get up the last step instead of spending a power bomb. Use X-ray to force a stand up, and then you jump, push down and right to get into the clip pose so that Samus is just a couple pixels into the floor, and then you do a very quick jump with down held and ledge grab onto the ledge. And because there's not a ceiling above the ledge, you can stand up onto the ledge without using the bomb. That also works while Suit is there. Looks like Audra is now going to explore down to these sand pits. Going down the sand pits is a little bit dangerous because you might find yourself trapped behind, say, Ridley. There have been previous seeds where one player went down a sand pit and found out the only way back up was to go through Ridley, so it's always a risk to come down here. Eddie sees a reserve tank at the back of Green Pirate Shaft. Let's see if he decides to go like last seed and collect all 4 reserve tanks. So it turns out that going down the sand pits leads into an entirely different area, a wrecked ship area. Eddie finds the speed booster at Firefly Room. So now Eddie is truly Varia from Go Mode. The only thing they has to worry about is heated obstacles like Ridley. We can see the toilet in the background of East Ocean on Audra's screen, so we know that somewhere above and below the current room is going to be connections to the toilet. One of the features of Map Round was that the toilet could be placed anywhere and go through any room. So when you see that tube going through the room you're in, you know exactly what it's for. Big Pink is usually good for 3 free items, but it looks like 2 of the items are just missiles today. Three missile packs in Big Pink. Usually Big Pink has something better than missiles. This is that toilet entrance that I had mentioned earlier. You might see it sweep down through the ocean. Eddie finding screw attack room. Oh, this might be amphitheater. Nope, it's ice skates. Ice skates should be fine. So when you see the hazard tape on the right door, you know that it's either Yoink Room, Amphitheater, or the Torian Hoppers. Amphitheater you really don't want to fall into. The Torian Hoppers, you can kind of deal with it if you know what you're getting into. Ice skates is pretty safe. At least you're not going to immediately die. There's the risk of the crumbles locking you. Audra saw a left side map door and is deciding to explore all the right side doors to look for Fantoon, I think. Also picking up a free item in Green Shaft, which is the Varia suit, so Eddie will have to come here later. It can't really tell who's ahead at this point. Eddie has that speed booster, which is a nice find, but Audra has that Varia suit. Since we saw all the right doors out of here, we know the map is not Fantoon's map, and you can actually get it. So, checking the right doors was just time lost. There's Kraid down there. We'll want to go down there, pick up Kraid, pick up that Hollow Dot and Precious Room. That'll be useful if it supers. Third Power Bomb pack would also be helpful, just so that you're less risk of running out. So it looks like Eddie is on a long magical journey. It's probably going to be a while before he finds that Varia. So we actually saw Amphitheater off to the left on Eddie's screen. And it looks like he's chasing a major in Watering Hole and a major in another room that I almost saw the name of. So Watering Hole could easily be a double major because it's got 2 items there. You have nice Kraid quick kill for Audra. It's the party room. Let's see what this major is. That's the normal morph bombs. Mildly useful whenever Eddie wants to conserve power bombs. Not going to have to IBJ this time. With that space jump first item. And we found the grapple beam and a reserve tank. Come on, Eddie, go pick up the other 3 reserve tanks. It looks like Eddie is resetting out of those morph bombs and grapple. Not that important to him. They're not charged, and they're not Varia. He's already got charged plasma, so kind of feels like Audra's ahead with that Varia suit, but it's kind of mixed because Eddie has the charged plasma and the speed booster, so could go either way. We find single chamber. There's just a hollow dot over there, so looks like Audra is deciding to chase that hollow dot. It's not a super, it's not terribly helpful. This is also the Alpha PB's room. You can tell by this dot and then the small separator from the other small dot. And Audra reset out of that because it wasn't that helpful after all. It's nothing quite like doing a gate glitch under heat pressure, knowing that the next room is also heated. But at least he has screw attack to go straight through the holes. Otherwise, those hitting those holes would deal 80 damage each. Alright, Eddie is going after the reserve tanks. Let's see if he collects all 4 again. We had a nice moonfall down Crumble Shaft. That's a very difficult trick to execute because you have to turn around moonfall while the crumble block is still gone. Eddie returns to the ship to preserve all his hard-fought goods, while Audra's into the Dragon fight. He's considering how best to do this with only ammo. This is going to be about 90-second fight, maybe more. Pretty slow fight with only ammo. Because the super drop rate of these goops is pretty low, and you have to farm up enough missiles. Dragon has 6,000 energy, missiles do 100, supers do 300, so you need 20 supers or 60 missiles. Good to leave a couple of drops like that, pick them up after firing, so that you have a couple of drops sitting ready to be picked up. Varia is actually over in Green Pirate Shaft, far away from where Eddie is. Hard to keep track of where both players are relative to each other. So up above Eddie, that's Early Super's room, and Taco Tank room. That's 2 free majors, but neither of them is Varia. So it's probably going to be Wave and Spring Ball. And that's a dead Dragon for Audra. That is Wave under the bridge. Let's see what the other one is. High Jump. Alright, he's probably going to keep that. High Jump will speed up all of your jumps, and a lot of jumping in this game, so you want to keep that high jump if you can. You also want to keep this Wave because that's a nice damage boost. So Audra just needs to find Phantoon, Ridley, and Mother Brain. When you're entering Coliseum, it's important to preserve your run speed the way that Audra did, so that you're space jumping across as fast as possible. Eddie finds Spazer, and he has the immediate pause of shame to turn off Spazer. A brief moment of relaxation as both players are on an elevator at the same time. Audra's apparently going to chase this major on the other side of Leodoc's room. Hopefully take this save. So you want to take the save before spending all your time crossing Leodoc's room in case it's something you don't actually need. So you can reset out of the major that turned out to be less than useful instead of spending a lot of time crossing Leodoc's room again. This has to be Spring Ball. So we'll see what Audra does. Yep, that's an immediate reset out. Fortunately, Audra saved immediately after fighting Dragon, so nothing really lost. Eddie passing up the free atom and wreck ship shaft, instead just going to chase the map. Audra is right behind Eddie in the same area, heading for the same map. We see the deactivated save station, so we know that this is actually Phantoon's area, and wherever we find the map, Phantoon is going to be right there. I don't believe Audra ever collected speed yet. Yeah, that map placement, this whole area might be a wild goose chase, and this wreck ship shaft might have no connection to that map. You might have to go to Brinstar and come at it through some door from Brinstar instead. Audra going to have to do an ice clip here. Gets in 3 quick shots on the mock droid, and then the 4th one stands up, does ice clip quickly, finds the save. Wow. Meanwhile, Eddie has found Phantoon. This is the wrong spot for the ice clip. You need to go up above. And that is a microwave Phantoon. Part of the trick to microwave Phantoon is you have to hit him with a missile, because if you hit Phantoon with the plasma beam first, he'll immediately disappear. So you hit him with one missile, then you switch to your X-ray and you charge your plasma beam. You microwave him with that. That's Dakara room. So speed is required. Audra's going to have to go on a long trip to find Speed Booster before being able to kill Phantoon. That really turns things around in Eddie's favor. So Eddie looks to be ahead here, as long as things don't go badly at Ridley. With 4 tanks and 3 reserves, he should be able to do Ridley without too much problem. But Audra knows that this is a speed-locked seed, and Audra knows to go on that magical journey to find the speed booster wherever it may be hiding. We have a brief moment of both players in the same room at the same time. Looks like Eddie is now going to go and explore the connections to Aqueduct, hunting for that Varia and the other bosses. Looks like Eddie has not seen the Dragon to the left of Aqueduct, so doesn't know to go there. Good enough at Lava Dive. Has much lower run speed, so he's spending more time crossing Coliseum. He gets that map. So he sees that major at Leodox. He's thinking, how likely is that to be Vara, and how likely is that to help? We know that it's Spring Ball, so you get to look and see the expression on Eddie's face when he sees Spring Ball at the end of a long boom. But with Screw Attack and Gravity Suit and Space Jump, Leodox is not going to take him that long. Not taking this save because he has another save somewhere else. Nice hitboxing through the pirates. Apparently he's going to keep this Spring Ball. I'm surprised he didn't reset out. So Audra about to collect this wave beam. And there was another major right behind it. That's the high jump. Alright. Good finds, but they're not the charge beam. Audra finds a Spazer, which is helpful if that charge beam ever shows up, but it's not the speed booster that is really required. Looks like Audra's planning to go down this elevator and back out to Meridia. Eddie has his map and is now into the Dragon fight. This will go very quick with the microwave beam. You want to stand in the middle of the room so that when Dragon dies, Dragon just goes straight down and you get a shorter death animation. And you want to crouch when you do this so that when Samus is forced into the standing pose at Dragon's death, you know that you're done and you can stop using the X-ray scope. That's a dead Dragon. Audra sees the 2 spots that could possibly have speed booster, and let's see which one Audra goes for. Looks like Kitty's doing a small farm before continuing onwards. Eddie's took barely a glance at the map and saw Kraid. Probably going to head for that next. Audra finds that charge beam. Eddie picks up that Varia suit. So Eddie on his way for a Kraid quick kill. Then it's just a hunt for Ridley. Whereas I believe Audra still needs to find Phantoon. Which we know that Phantoon is locked behind the speed booster, so really Audra's looking for that speed booster for go mode. I believe this is the room the speed booster was in, so Audra will have it in a moment, and then we'll be heading straight back to Phantoon, which is going to be a very, very long trip. See Eddie's clean movement now that he has all items and doesn't have to worry about any damage. Phantoon is speed locked at the top of Dakara room, so absolutely must collect speed booster to complete this seed, unless you do some fancy stuff with Crystal Flash interrupting a Shine Spark and an Elevator Crystal Flash, really. Or if you're really desperate, you could carry a blue suit all the way from Dragon, but those aren't really strategies that you would use in a race. There's no Ridley, no Mother Brain in this area. And Audra already has speed boosters, so it's just going to turn around and leave. Apparently decided to chase the last two majors, which I believe were Plasma and Screw Attack here. Wait, no, they're Grapple and normal bombs, so chasing those last two majors would not be helpful. Looks like Eddie is just one room away from Ridley. This is the map randomizer, so it is neither Dash nor Varia. We have all the rooms randomly arranged. Somebody put the puzzle of Zeebs back together in a different way. Oh, Mother Brain and Ridley are both in criteria. It's convenient. We'll have a nice short escape afterwards. And that is a dead Ridley, so Eddie's going to be on his way to Mother Brain now. Whereas Audra still has to run over to kill Fantoon. Wanted to keep speed through that door, but bonked instead. And he saw Audra cursing it to bonking the door. Looks like Audra is going after Ridley. Hopefully he remembers that Fantoon is not dead. Otherwise we might have a very long G3 moment. Nice high five from the runners. So with 20 super missiles, that's 2/3 of Ridley's energy. And then it'll be another 20 charge shots with this full beam combo. Audra taking the time to farm the CAC attack for super before going into Ridley. This is the third of the best of three. Eddie won the first race and Audra won the second. We had Aussie calming the first two races, and Aussie then had to step away for admin duties, so Kaizentin had to fill in for comms. Audra making reasonably short work of this Ridley. It looks like the baby room is actually going to be part of the escape. The baby is not going to be there in the escape, because that would make the escape too exciting. Eddie's showing off his unmorphed down back Zeb skip. So now Audra just has to run over to the opposite side of the world where Fantoon is, and run all the way back here for Mother Brain. That's probably going to take too long to catch up. Unless Eddie decides to take a death here in Mother Brain. This is Eddie's race now. And there we have the rainbow beam, so no Mother Brain 3 in map rondo. We're just after the rainbow beam, we call it good enough and cut straight to the escape. "45 seconds. So the hyper beam will actually destroy the super block. One of the convenient things is hyper beam will open gates and destroy blocks and open ammo doors for you. So you don't have to worry about those things in the escape. You also have all items. So if you didn't have high jump or your speed booster or whatever before, you get it for the escape. And I hope I didn't just get disconnected at the end. You finally see Eddie in the landing site 3. And we have Eddie joining me in the comm booth.
GG. Soon. Can you hear me?
Hello.
I'll
let you describe what happened. Audra kind of fell behind because of that speed-locked Fantoon.
Yep. Wait, can you hear me, first of all?
Sometimes I can hear.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about all 3 of them, I guess. I have an idea of what probably happened. But if we want to talk about... This one's the most fresh, just on my memory, obviously, but... I was nervous about this game 3 because... From my perspective... I was once again sort of hitting up all the areas and finding no progression. And it was very scary because it was another situation where I was... sort of hitting up areas that had a lot of majors, but there was no bosses, and then I didn't get Varia, so I was just like, oh god, this is like happening again. I knew immediately though that we had to go up because my first boss was Fantoon. I knew we had Croc Speedway, and the moment I saw the broken save, I'm like, okay, Fantoon's here. And the moment I saw the dead gate, the Croc exit gate, I was just like, okay, this is speed locked. But at that point, it's really hard to gauge, like, how exactly you fall behind. Because I'm not really sure how big of a deal it is. I think it completely depends on how easily you can sort of collect the Varia if you go down. Because either way, you have to make that backtrack, if that makes sense. Because the juncture is at criteria, so... I chose to go back, and then because I already explored a little bit of Brinstar and I wanted to check out that other area, I went up, and then think it's really hard to say. It just kind of depends on if you can kind of grab everything below smoothly. I don't know how it worked out for Audra, but if you can grab everything without taking too long, because I probably had extra resources going down to do the Crystal Flash and stuff like that. I also miscalculated, and I thought that the Spring Ball was I thought it was 100% Varia. And I was already unsure if I should even bother grabbing it, but I figured it was the safer play. When I saw Spring Ball, I was like, oh god, I made a big mistake. But yeah, I think perhaps it worked that way for Audra, but I'm not convinced that going down is necessarily worse. Because you get the bad news either way, if that makes sense. So I hit Fantoon on the way down.
Varia a lot earlier, but didn't have speed booster for a very long time. Yeah. And actually found the Daiquiri room and saw that Fantoon was speed locked and couldn't get it.
Then did they choose to go through? Did she choose to go through the green gate? Because I think you have to go through the green gate, the Croc Escape green gate, to see the Decora room. Unless there's another path that I'm not aware of. The moment I saw the green gate, I was like, "This is speed locked," because Croc Speedways are way back. At least that's what I thought. The Decora room is like very clearly makes it speed locked, but
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the moment that you see the green gate, I thought that's when you can determine that it's speed locked, because I wasn't aware of another way back. Maybe there was, but that's when I was like, okay, I know that the Pantoon is speed locked, so I know at the very least I didn't waste my time up there. What got me scared though is there's additional majors, so if you were to go down, collect Varia, and then you were to collect, either way, we both have to backtrack back up, but if you go back up, the moment you get speed, you don't have to waste any more time, whereas I kind of like full cleared the whole thing, so that's where I got kind of nervous, thinking I might have lost if Audra chose to go down, but I'm not really sure. Perhaps it didn't work out that way. But that's what kind of spooked me for game 3, and I was like, I think I have the losing route here. But maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not. I guess I'd have to watch it back. Seems like it was a good race either way.
Yeah, it was very close race. Went back and forth a lot. Often we couldn't tell whether you were ahead or Audra was ahead.
Game 2, I could not believe it. I like couldn't believe it. Because once I went to the very bottom and it was the very last thing, and then I got my charge, I was like, I need this to be like exactly Varia, and I need there to be like no resources. But then, obviously, I was like 1+4 with like 40 supers, and I'm like, I can't believe what's going on here. Because once you get 40 supers, you're like, I can't believe I just traversed the entire world just for charge, and it was like the most useless charge I've ever gotten in my life, basically. So
yeah,
the
only
moment
10 super packs. So when you get 8 out of 10 super packs, you know you've picked up a lot of the hollow dots.
I couldn't believe it, and I still had to search
one
for hollow
energy
dots.
tank after that.
Yeah, I was 1+4. I still had to search for hollow dots at the end. I was like, this is like as optimally bad as it possibly could have been. Because I'm like,
yeah, because
all 3 of the bosses
you die in
are in the other
game.
direction, and I just said hello to Mother Prey. I'm like, I can't. I'm gonna lose this one because it's very reasonable to go up. I chose to go down. Norfair, between Norfair and Brinstar, I do think Norfair is probably the better play. I mean, it all just depends, right? But I thought Norfair would have been the better play just because we knew that Brinstar's map was like 500 miles up. So I chose to go to Norfair, where I knew the map was a little bit closer, but obviously that led me into a really bad rabbit hole of getting charge and finding out that I'm going to get like 30 supers along the way. So
Aussie wants me to wrap up so that Andy versus Linux can start up here on this same channel in just a few minutes.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
It looks like they started 6 minutes ago, so should be going live in about 5 or so.
All right.
So
yeah.
Thanks for showing up to the race.
Yeah, and I know Aussie did comms. Thanks for the tracking and the comms and everything. Appreciate it very much. Just happy to be moving forward. So GG to my opponent Audra, and thanks.
And if anybody out there is listening, feel free to follow our runners. We have Eddie and Audra. And that's it. Next race will be starting in a few minutes. Stick around.